Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the moves the Patriots made at the wide receiver position, how that's going to impact the upcoming 2024 season, as well as how these moves are going to mesh with the Alex Van Pelt offensive schemes and system. So let's get right into it. So the first move that the Patriots made at the wide receiver position was bringing back wide receiver Kendrick Bourne on a 3-year, $30 million deal. I believe 20 of that $33 million is guaranteed. And I believe the third season of that contract could potentially be a void year. And really, I kind of like this contract for the Patriots. Understandably, some people are actually pretty skeptical about the contract, especially coming off the torn ACL season. But if you're able to get off that third year, then really it's kind of a low-risk, high-reward contract for the Patriots, especially with how productive Kendrick Bourne has been here in New England. His 2021 season probably had the best season of his career. And last season, before the injury, he was really on pace to kind of break those records of his own season. So, really looking to get Kendrick Bourne back integrated into this offense and see if he's still the player that he was pre-injury. So, taking a look kind of into his 2023 numbers, I believe this was through around 8 weeks. He had 55 targets, caught around 37 balls for a receiving percentage of around 67, 2/3 of every target that he got, he was able to catch. Had 406 yards, averaged around 11 yards per catch, and had 4 touchdowns. Like I said before, in terms of yardage and touchdowns, I believe he was on a pace to break his career totals or have his career-defining season. I believe also the same with receptions. He had 0 drops. He averaged around basically 6 yards per reception for yards after the catch, and he did have 1 fumble. But taking a look at some of the grades that he was advised with, so his overall grade was around 67. His receiving grade was very high with around the 70 grade, as well as the rushing grade of around 62, and his run blocking grade of around 47 here. But Kendrick Bourne, wherever he's been on the field for you, he's been really productive. He's one of the better yards after the catch receivers in the league. And he really did build a pretty good chemistry with Mac Jones. He was one of Mac's go-to targets. Obviously, Mac's not here anymore, but still kind of looking to develop that chemistry with the new quarterbacks coming in. Jacoby Brissett, Nathan Rourke, Bailey Zappi, as well as if the Patriots do end up drafting a quarterback in the draft. We're going to see how well he's able to integrate into this Alex Van Pelt system. And I personally like this move a lot for New England and can't wait to see Kendrick Bourne back in Patriots colors. So taking a look into Kendrick Bourne's snaps by alignment here, really kind of plays everywhere in terms of on the offense, whether you're able to play him out wide or in the slot. Last season, he was able to play 261 wide snaps. Patriots kind of used him a little bit in that X-receiver role, mixed with Devontae Parker. Obviously had a lot of mixed results with Devontae Parker, but Kendrick Bourne was more so the productive wide receiver on the edge or out wide. And in his 2021 season, played 232 snaps in the slot, 372 out wide. So really is a versatile wide receiver. You could put him inside the numbers. You could put him out wide. He's going to be able to get open for you a lot of times. And he's really been productive, especially with yards after the catch in New England. He's been a pretty solid red zone target for you as well, having 12 touchdowns in his Patriots career over 3 seasons, and especially with his 2022 season, where he was not really receiving a lot of playing time at all. He's put up very good numbers whenever he's been on the field, and you can kind of just see that in his totals for his career for the Patriots. Has around 135 receptions, around a 76% reception rate. Basically has 1,700 yards in 3 seasons for the Patriots. Barely productive for a wide receiver, especially with New England, and kind of when he wasn't really seeing the field a lot in 2022. These are mostly through kind of 2.5 seasons because last season was more so cut off. So Kendrick Bourne's been nothing but productive when on the field, and we're just going to wait and see if he could develop the chemistry with the new quarterbacks coming in. So we'll see how he does with that. Alex Van Pelt, I'm sure, is going to look to get him integrated more into the offense. I can kind of see him playing that kind of Elijah Moore role that Alex Van Pelt had Elijah in last season. Probably not Amari Cooper status, but maybe if he is the wide receiver one going into Patriots training camp and everything like that, you might see him more so being that wide receiver one. But look for the Patriots to potentially add some more moves here and acquire a true number one receiver. But Kendrick Bourne has done really everything that he's been asked to from New England, so can't wait to see what he's able to do. So the next move that the Patriots made at the wide receiver position was actually bringing back wide receiver Jalen Reagor. And I see this more so being kind of a special teams role for him, especially during the return game. Had a lot of production last season for the Patriots when he was put into that role. You might see some limited snaps offensively from him, especially out wide. I know that's where Bill O'Brien kind of put him more so last season, especially with Devontae Parker struggling and Tyquan Thornton not really able to carve that role out for himself. So expect Jalen Reagor to be mostly in the return game, receiving a lot of probably some special team snaps. Very limited offensive snaps I can see upcoming for this season, if any at all. But let's take a look into his numbers here for the 2023 season. Had 22 targets for only 7 receptions for a 31 or a 32% reception rate. Those really aren't very productive numbers on the offensive standby. He did have 138 yards for around a 20 yards per catch pace, which is very productive. But when you're only catching around 30% of the balls thrown your way, you're really struggling to get open more so. And Jalen Reagor really, during his time in New England, kind of had a limited route tree that I feel like the Patriots coaching staff trusted him with. Kind of more so just basic hitch routes, quick slants, and fade routes and streak routes. So really kind of more so a limited route tree for him. But taking a look into his special teams numbers, he had 7 returns for last season for 221 yards, around a 31.6 yards per return rate. Very productive. Obviously had that touchdown versus the Bills. I'm sure that kind of inflated his numbers a bit. But he had a kick return grade of around 70.2. So very solid. His snaps by alignment last season, he had 29 quick kick returns. On the offensive standby, he played 40 snaps in the slot, 268 out wide. So he actually did get a number of snaps for the Patriots, especially towards the end of the season, but was more so kind of used as that blocking wide receiver. You can kind of see that in his grades here. His overall grade was around a 51.4. He had a receiving grade of 53.5, a rushing grade of 63.1. I believe they actually used him on a couple of jet sweeps as well as end arounds last season, and he was fairly productive in that role with his speed. And his run block grade was actually 33.5, which was very low. But I saw Jalen Reagor make a lot of crucial blocks in the run game last season, so I'm kind of shocked that that was kind of the grade that he was given during the run game, or his run blocking grade. But I was fairly confident with Jalen Reagor's blocking on the outside. I think he made a lot of crucial blocks. He did have 2 holding penalties, so that probably weighed into his grade being so low, but he made a lot of great blocks on the outside, and Patriots might look to use him more so as that blocking wide receiver and put him in some of the sets you could expect from him. But that's what you can expect from Jalen Reagor this season. Very limited offensive snaps, if any at all. But expect him to be another featured guy in the receiving game or the return game as well. Basically kind of playing that similar role to what he was last season. The Patriots kind of locked him up pretty quickly on a 1-year, around $1 million deal. So that kind of sounds more so like a return specialist contract to me, if that special team snaps a lot. So see if Jalen Reagor can expand his game offensively, and we'll see how he performs in the return game again this season. So the last move that the Patriots made at the wide receiver position up to this point was the signing of K.J Osborn to a 1-year, $4 million contract. I believe around 3.2 of that $4 million is guaranteed. And this is a very good signing by the Patriots, a low-key signing. Probably a depth piece for the Patriots at the wide receiver position. Potentially be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 for you. But you're certainly going to see him on the offense along this season. I'll delve into his numbers a little bit more, but I can see him very much being kind of similar to Kendrick Bourne. Maybe not in the yards after the catch type rate, but you could see him a lot in pretty similar snap alignments. They're pretty similar in like body comp, have around the same height, same weight. I believe Kendrick Bourne is a little quicker, but I'll delve more into the numbers of why K.J Osborn I feel can have a big impact on this offense. So let's get right into his numbers. So his 2023 season, he had 73 targets for 48 receptions, around a 66% catch rate, had 540 yards, averaged around 11.3 yards per catch, had 3 touchdowns, had a contested catch percentage around 25%, had a drop percentage of around 13%. You would like to see that go down. He had 7 drops on the season last season. And his yards after the catch per reception is around 4. Only had 1 fumble. So his overall grade was around 54. His receiving grade kind of matches that, 54, and his run block grade of around 52. But looking into his Viking totals, he's been a very productive wide receiver for the Vikings through 3 seasons, I believe it is. He has 160 receptions for around a 68% catch rate, around 1,850 yards for around 11.7 yards per reception, and he has 16 touchdowns. So he's been a red zone threat for them with 16 touchdowns. Been productive. He's been able to find the end zone. And taking a look into his snaps by alignment, I'll go over 3 seasons from which he's played. So last season he had 262 slot snaps, 550 snaps out wide. For his 2022 season, he had 542 slot snaps, only saw 362 wide snaps. And his rookie year, I believe, he saw 362 slot snaps and 409 out wide snaps. So very similar to Kendrick Bourne. He is more so kind of a slot receiver for them, but due to what the what the Vikings had at wide receiver position over the last couple of seasons, he's been able to adjust that role. Obviously, they got Justin Jefferson, probably a top 3 wide receiver in this league. They had Adam Thielen for a little while. They also went ahead and made the addition or the draft of Jordan Addison for last season, so that's why you might see him kind of slide more out wide for the Vikings last season compared to prior seasons where he was more so in the slot with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. But he's like Kendrick Bourne, he's very versatile. You can put him in the slot, put him out wide. He's going to catch the ball, has pretty good reception percentage when thrown to, that being around 66%. His drop rate, it was a little high for this previous season. You would like to see that go down. He had 7 drops. Obviously, that doesn't sound too bad, but with only having around 73 targets, I mean, he could have had 50-plus catches if he was able to haul those in. But I kind of look to see how they're going to get him involved in red zone action. He scored a lot during the Vikings era in the red zone. His yards per catch or yards after the catch, his yak yardage, doesn't really suggest that he's a big play potential after catching the ball. So I assume most of his touchdowns that he was able to haul in were in the red zone. And that's probably just through good, clean route running and able to get separation, as well as having higher wide receivers on the scouting report for the other team. So we'll kind of see if that translates, whether his route running really does do a great job of just getting him open, or if he receives more attention due to the Patriots not necessarily having the highest quality of wide receivers, not having that kind of go-to red zone threat in the wide receiver game. We'll see if that kind of correlates, or if he's just able to keep hauling in touchdowns because of good, clean route running in the red zone here. So taking a look into these signings and how they're going to mesh with Alex Van Pelt's system here, looking into what the Browns ranked for in the drop back passing game, they actually ranked with the most actions out of 11 personnel sets. So expect to see a lot of wide receiver sets. They're around 4th in that in the league. So you're going to see a lot of sets with 3 wide receivers on it. They're ranked 4th in empty percentage. So there's going to be times where there's not going to be back in the backfield. You're going to have a lot of wide receivers and tight ends on the field. as well as they actually ranked 9th in spread formation. So Alex Van Pelt certainly going to spread the defenses open, try and highlight mismatches, kind of going to try and force teams to either play really good man coverage or force a lot of teams in the zone against them, especially with their play action game. Expect to see a lot of more RPOs from this offense. Understandably, he is coming from the Browns in their run-first system with Kevin Stefanski as well as Nick Chubb, as well as Kareem Hunt in a great offensive line. But I know he likes to run the ball a lot. He has a lot of east to west backs here with Ramondre Stevenson as well as Antonio Gibson. So expect a lot of off-tackle runs, a lot of pitches on the outside that can get the backs in this open space. And that's certainly going to help the wide receivers here with the RPO. It's going to allow them to potentially get easier catches. And when Kendrick Bourne's able to get an easy catch and has yards of separation, he's going to make a play. K.J Osborn can do the same thing. So expect that to be a highlighted area of the Patriots with a lot more RPOs, some possible quick slants, quick outs from that. Taking a look more so in his man versus zone schemes. In his man schemes, they like to run a lot of bunch formations, a lot of mesh plays, trying to confuse the defense, especially the secondary. It's going to be key for defenses to communicate who's who, especially with the drag routes that the Patriots are going to be using, trying to get separation for the receivers where they can make a play after the ball's caught. Versus zone, he's going to run a lot more kind of a high-low concept, maybe a drag in the first level and then deep in on the second level, or potentially a post, kind of forcing defenses to tune in the one, potentially take away the deep ball, which will leave the easier throw open underneath. As well, he likes to run a lot of trip formations, 3 wide receivers on one side. Versus man, he likes to run a lot of flood from that formation, so expect to see a lot of wide receivers running to the same side in that area. As well as for zone, kind of from that trip set, he likes to run a lot of scat concepts, so expect a lot of hitches, some potentially kind of scat routes as well. And I think this system's really going to benefit Kendrick Bourne and K.J Osborn. It's really going to highlight their area of success in the yards after the catch game. I could see that a lot with Kendrick Bourne, especially if he's the wide receiver that he was pre-injury. If he still has that explosive athleticism that he has and is able to run away from defenders, he's really going to be a highlighted target in this system. K.J Osborn's just a solid wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. He's going to get open. He's going to catch a lot of balls. And hopefully they're able to kind of use those formations as well as create a lot of confusion in the secondary and get a lot more big plays than they have been able to do for these last upcoming seasons. So that's how I expect these wide receivers to fit into this Alex Van Pelt system. If you have any thoughts on the matter, let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.